Box and Cox. Characters: John Box, a printer; James Cox, a hatter; Mrs. Bouncer, a lodging house keeper. An interesting play depicting how the landlady tries to make a quick buck. A room fairly well furnished. In the center is an old-fashioned bed with curtains around it, closed. At left center, a door leading to the passage. Cox is looking at himself in a small-looking glass which he holds in his hand.
I've half a mind to register an oath that I'll never have my hair cut again.
His hair is very short.
I look as if I had been just cropped for the army, and I was particularly emphatic in my instructions to the hairdresser only to cut the ends off. He must have thought I meant the other ends. Never mind, I shan't meet anybody worth troubling about so early. 8 o'clock? I declare, I haven't a moment to lose. Fate has placed me with the most punctual and particular of hatters, and I must fulfill my destiny.
Knock at the door.
Open locks, whoever knocks.
Enters Mrs. Bouncer. Good morning, Mr. Cox. I hope you slept comfortably, Mr. Cox.
I can't say I did, Mrs. B. I should feel obliged to you if you could accommodate me with a more protuberant bolster, Mrs. B. The one I've got now seems to me to have about a handful and a half of features at each end, and nothing whatever in the middle.
Anything to accommodate you, Mr. Cox?
Thank you. Then perhaps you'll be good enough to hold this mirror.
Certainly. Holding mirror in front of Cox, who ties on his tie. Why, I do declare, you've had your hair cut.
Cut? It strikes me I've had it mowed. It's very kind of you to mention it, but I'm sufficiently conscious of the absurdity of my personal appearance already, Mrs. Bouncer. I've lately observed a gradual and steady increase of evaporation among my candles, wood, sugar, and matches.
Lord, Mr. Cox, you surely don't suspect me.
I don't say I do, Mrs. B. Only I wish you distinctly to understand that I don't believe it's a cat.
Is there anything else you've got to grumble about, sir?
Grumble? Mrs. Bouncer, do you possess such a thing as a dictionary? Then I'll lend you one, and if you turn to the letter G, you'll find grumble, verb neuter, to complain without cause. Now, that's not my case, Mrs. B. And now that we are on the subject, I wish to know how it is that I very often find my apartment full of smoke.
Why, I suppose the chimney...
The chimney doesn't smoke tobacco. I'm speaking of tobacco smoke.
Not me, Mr. Cox. Let me know if you will be back at your usual time. He's gone at last. Really, I was all in a tremble for fear Mr. Box should come in before Mr. Cox went out. Luckily, they've never met yet. And what's more, they are not very likely to, because Mr. Box is hard at work in a newspaper office all night and doesn't come home till the morning. And Mr. Cox is busy making hats all day long and doesn't come home till night. So I'm getting double rent for my room, and neither of my lodgers is any the wiser for it. It was a capital idea of mine, that it was, but I haven't an instant to lose. First of all, let me put Mr. Cox's thing out of Mr. Box's way. She takes the 3 hats, Cox's dressing gown and slippers, opens door of left-hand store cupboard and puts them in, then shuts door and locks it. Now then, to make the bed, and don't let me forget that what's the head of the bed for Mr. Cox becomes the foot of the bed for Mr. Box. People's tastes do differ. Coming out from behind the curtains of bed, Lord, Mr. Box, what is the matter?
Can you inform me who the individual is that I invariably encounter going downstairs when I'm coming up and coming upstairs when I'm going down?
Oh yes, the gentleman in the attic, sir.
Oh, there's nothing particularly remarkable about him, except his hats. I meet him in all sorts of hats, white hats and black hats, hats with broad brims and hats with narrow brims, hats with naps and hats without naps. In short, I have come to the conclusion that he must be individually and professionally associated with the hatting interest.
Yes, sir. And by the by, Mr. Box, he begged me to request of you, as a particular favor, that you would not smoke quite so much.
Where are my matches?
Looking on mantelpiece and taking Box opens it.
Now, upon my life, this is too bad of Bouncer. This is, by several degrees, too bad. I had a whole box of full 3 days ago, and now there's only one. I bought this candle recently. I have hardly used it, and the candle 3 parts gone. I cooked pork chop on the gridiron, but now it has the odor of red herrings. How sleepy I am. I must lie down if only someone could turn my bacon.
He lies down on the bed, closing the curtain around him. After a short pause, enters Cox hurriedly.
Well, wonders never cease. My employer, with a smile of extreme benevolence, said to me, "Cox, I shan't need you today. You can have a holiday." I must have my breakfast first. I'll get some time to reflect. I've brought a mutton chop, so I shan't have any dinner. Good gracious! I've forgotten the bread. Hello, what's this? A roll? I declare. Come, that's lucky. Who has touched my box of matches? Why, it's empty. I left one in it. The fire is alight already. Where's the gridiron? On the fire? And what's that on it? Bacon it is. Mrs. Bouncer takes my last match, my coals, and my gridiron to cook her breakfast?
Cox goes out, slamming the door after him with a loud noise.
Come in, Mrs. Bouncer, if it's you. Goodness gracious, my bacon!
Runs to the fireplace.
Hello, what's this? A chop? Whose chop? Bouncer's? She thought to cook her breakfast while I was asleep? With my coals and my gridiron? Ha ha! But where's my bacon?
In anger, digs the fork into the chop, opens the window and throws the chop out, and with the fork he puts the bacon on the gridiron and goes out, slams the door.
Come in, come in. Oh, goodness, my chop. Hello, what's this? The bacon again? Oh, pooh. Sounds confound it. Dash it. Damn it. I can't stand this.
Pokes the fork in the bacon, opens the window and flings it out. Box walks in with his tea things.
Who are you, sir? If you come to that, who are you? The printer. The hatter. Leave my apartment. Your apartment? It's mine. Your apartment? Ha ha. Mrs. Bouncer, to whom does this apartment belong?
Both.
Both of us?